Hi everyone, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, what's Elon Musk's most ludicrous lie, his wildest deception? Honestly, it's pretty hard to choose these days, isn't it? As time goes by, they seem to get bigger and bigger. The things that he says, the predictions he makes about the future. But Gizmodo here thinks they have an answer. His most ridiculous lie. It caught my eye, this article. So I thought I would respond to it because it is a pretty big one, I think. They said, you've heard of UBI. What about UHI? If you don't know what that is, it's universal high income, not universal basic income, universal high income, which Elon Musk has suggested will be in the near future. And that's a crowd pleaser. No doubt he's got that in mind. The article starts off, what happens when the world is filled with humanoid robots? If you believe Elon Musk, the answer is you get a technological utopia where humans no longer have to work and get paid to lounge around. Now, the tech utopia, a lot of these tech billionaires are saying this, but AI accelerationism and utopia that is not far away. We might be able to upload our minds to AI to the grid and live forever. They do actually think that transhumanism, but Gizmodo carries on here. If you know anything about 20th century futurism, you've probably heard that one before. And yes, this has been a dream for decades and decades. Have you seen movies and stories and sci fi? People have promised this or thought this would happen for a very long time. So Elon Musk knows this. No doubt he's picked up on this and he's selling it to the people as a near future. That's why it's possibly one of the most ludicrous things that he keeps on saying. And this is very recently, just days ago. Gizmodo says Musk has a long history of talking BS. The Tesla CEO makes lofty promises about the future that he can't keep. And one of those promises is that sometime in the future, robots will be doing all your labor, freeing up humans to get handouts from the government. Yes, oh, the irony which they point out here. Remember Doge. If he thinks that, why was he so keen on Doge? Maybe he did it for other reasons, but would it really matter cutting cutting government grants here and there, funding for government, trying to save money? Why would it even matter in this amazing future that's not far away? The conversation started on Saturday, so just days ago, when an ex-user predicted that by 2030, that's right, 2030, we're in 2025 now, so only 5 years away this is. Keep that in mind. All jobs will be replaced by AI and robots easily. The user insisted that since the US has about 170 million workers, and 80 million of those jobs include hands on work, the number of robots to replace all human workers was something close to 20 million autonomous systems, including autonomous vehicles, automated equipment, and robots. So, this is not Elon saying this. However, Elon replied that while he believed the calculations were correct, there would be a lot more robots than people in the future. So he didn't say 2030, but he did say that person's calculations were correct. And now he has a vested interest, obviously, in saying that there'll be millions, billions of robots. He's been saying lately these predictions have been getting bigger and bigger. I think he said there'd be 8 billion robots, more than the people on Earth. Your estimates are about right, Elon says. However, intelligent robots in humanoid form will far exceed the population of humans, which is currently about 8 billion, as every person will want their own R2D2 and C3PO. And then there will be many robots in industry for every human to provide products and services, Musk tweeted. In case you don't believe that, this is where he said that. He latched onto this and said, yes, you're about right, because it does go with what he wants to sell, this idea that he wants to sell to everybody, and that Tesla and he is going to provide that future. And things got interesting as well as ridiculous. Someone else replied to Musk When robots replace working people, how will those who become unemployed sustain their lives? Hmm. Now, Elon, the multi billionaire, the center billionaire, insisted everyone would benefit from getting free handouts without having to work. There will be universal high income, not merely basic income, which a lot of these people have said before. They can see the future where AI will take over. They'll have a lot of money. And so they think that maybe basic income, universal basic income might be a good thing. Although, would they really think that when the time came, being ultra capitalist? He says everyone will have the best medical care, food, home transport, and everything else. Imagine that. Does this actually sound like Elon Musk or the things that he's been saying over the past year? Again, remember Doge. They say his comments would be hilarious if they weren't such a brazen lie, and one that some extremely gullible people probably believe. Now, if you go on X and see his Elongelical followers, of course they believe it. A lot of people believe this, but it's not new. The dream of this is not new. Musk is the guy who took a chainsaw to the federal government in an effort to make sure supposedly undeserving people are unable to get any government benefits, Gizmodo points out. Yes, as if we're forgetting that. So, marrying these two things together, where he's so against government waste and giving out handouts here and there, even aid, he just hates the idea of aid. So, as I said, when it comes to the time, if it ever happened, that he'd want people to actually have a universal high income. Everybody, do you think that he actually believes that? There's nothing worse in a given society than people who contribute nothing and get all of life's necessities according to the Musk worldview. See, these things just do not match up, do they? Why on earth would we believe that he wants everyone to get guaranteed income for doing nothing while robots do all the real work? Well, because it benefits him. Who's making the robots? He is. But do you think he actually believes this? He wants everybody to have a high income when he's just been into Doge and been incredibly miserly, cutting government money all over the place. And who's going to administer the system? How is it maintained? And perhaps most importantly, who owns the robots? Well, yes, who owns the robots? Maybe he's thinking that people get universal high income and then they can buy the robots. Is that his plan? As I said, it seems to conflict with what he has just been doing, even in this year, going into Doge and cutting. He was on stage with his chainsaw, proudly, saying slashing things. And he did say later that perhaps lacked in empathy. But he also said he's been saying this for a while. He thinks that universal high income. He used to say UBI, but I think in his brain he thought that's not good enough to tell the people. So I should promise to have high income. People will really go for that. You can see that he is just pandering to the people, like almost like a politician, and predicting this utopia just out of reach, just out of reach. We'll have 1 million robotaxis on the road by 2020. Remember that? We'll have a colony on Mars. It's not far away. We'll have 1,000 spaceships a year, he says, going to Mars. If we can just get that one beyond Earth, we'll be flying many, many to Mars and having a colony, getting 1 million tons. We'll have robots on Mars. We'll have a colony on Mars. We'll have UHI on Earth. It's going to be this fantastic tech utopia. Now, as they point out here, Tesla has a lot to gain from the idea that robots will be plentiful in the future. Musk makes the Optimus robot a humanoid automation that he says will be manufactured not just in the millions, but in the billions one day in the not too distant future. Optimus is way behind competitors made by companies like Figure, but he insists that one day the Tesla bot will be babysitting your kids. And this is the competition. This robot is so far ahead of Elon Musk's Optimus that it's almost embarrassing. So, this is from earlier this year. And he doesn't talk much about the competition at all. But people who do know about humanoid robots do know that there are companies that are further ahead than Elon. And he's had people leaving. The head of Optimus left recently. Supposedly now Elon is in charge of it, but doesn't look like there's been much progress. The last we saw was in the Tesla diner. They had an Optimus serving popcorn that was obviously teleoperated. It broke down on the first day during that day as well. So a long way to go before we have humanoid robots all over the place doing everything for us, and we're on a universal high income. Now, they say if you're not familiar with the promises of automation in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, the idea that robots could do all the work is very familiar. Some very smart people believed it was inevitable that automation would advance in such a way that a new leisure society would emerge. And while robots are certainly on the way and will be more common in the future, the promises for what that means for society have never panned out. That's right. There have been predictions of this from long ago. Back as far as the 1920s and 30s, there was this dream of robots, and they thought it was not going to be far away. And they pointed out in this article the Jetsons, the 1960s, the promise. I think George Jetson, worked about 3 or 4 hours a day, and it was all leisure time. And that has been the promise when machines came along and then computers came along. We were going to have much more leisure time. I mean, the difference is that a lot more people do work from home these days. So I suppose it's panned out from that point of view a little bit. But people are working more than ever. We have devices. We're working 24/7. We're sucked into the algorithms as well for our leisure time. We're still on the computers, doom scrolling of the algorithms, which take us down rabbit holes. But a lot of the time, people are still working, perhaps more. So capitalism has gone more advanced, more hyper, and so people are working even more. So who's to think in the future that won't still be the case? Because growth is everything, right? Part of Elon Musk going to space is to expand capitalism into the solar system, into the rest of the universe. And so it's growth. We can't grow here on Earth forever, limited resources and so forth. But using AI and computers and spaceships, we can go out and grow forever. And so capitalism just gets bigger and bigger. But do humans work less and less? Do you think this is going to be the case? Let me know in the comments. Or do you think that Elon Musk is pretty much making this up to try and sell us on a future? I mean, it's ridiculous to think that it's only 5 years away that there'll be so many humanoid robots around doing everything for us. Elon said that he's always right, just the timeline is wrong. But increasingly, a lot of the things that he said just have not come true. As I said, a million robo taxis on the road by 2020. We're now in 2025, and there's so many other things. I think people give him the benefit of the doubt because he did deliver early on. He did manage to produce electric vehicles that people liked and scale them worldwide. But he started to promise bigger and bigger and say the future will be better and better. And of course, that Mars colony. And SpaceX is so far away from that, even though his predictions are to go there very soon. He gets away with it by saying it's corporate puffery, and he's very optimistic. But what's the difference between optimism and just lying to people because he knows it's what they want to hear? What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. And right now, I'm going to put a related link below me here on screen, and also a subscribe link. These are the thumbnails. This is the artwork I'm doing at the moment out of the thumbnails. I've done way more than 500 videos now, so I've got a lot of thumbnails to play with to make artwork from, and this is one of them. This is the first one. So do subscribe if you want to get more of these kinds of videos from me in the very near future. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.